Greetings, Earthlings. I missed you. I really did. Although they took my wisdom teeth from my mouth, they could not and will not and shall not take the wisdom from my mouth. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, stop. You're so kind. I love you too. Stop. Welcome to my first Q&A session. I am Native Soul, and because I got a lot of wonderful questions, 29 to be exact, I'm gonna split this baby up into 3 parts because I'm gonna answer every question. You took the time to ask me something that you're actually curious about, and I am going to answer those things. And just letting you know, I am a very in-depth person. I'm very detail-oriented. This video is not gonna be something that's like super duper quick, and I get that some people's attention spans are permanently damaged from social media, and this is like actually a thing. And I want to make sure that you all get to hear what I'm saying. But if you leave, then you leave, and if you're here, then you're here, and I appreciate you either way. So let's get started. The first question is, are you religious or spiritual? Well, my friend, I grew up religious, even though I was super spiritual within that religion. Christianity is whitewashed and colonized African spirituality and indigenous spirituality, so like I always had like a connection to the spirit realm. So to answer it in short, I am definitely spiritual. Number 2, if you are spiritual, which I am, what was your spiritual awakening? So I actually talked about this, I believe, in the 10 signs you are experiencing a spiritual awakening. But if you're a new subscriber and you haven't watched that, that is fine. I will repeat it concisely right now, right here. Excuse me. Oh, shoot. I keep saying excuse me when I burp. I'm not supposed to do that, remember? If you watch my shroom videos, you know. You know what's up. So my spiritual awakening consciously began freshman year of undergrad at college. A 10-pound weight knocked it over. It fell on my foot and it broke, like, my ring finger. What? My ring toe on my left foot. You know, that was a really humbling moment for me because before that incident, I really put my worth and my identity in other people liking me and other people seeing how talented I was in my physical abilities. I was a college lacrosse player and I played 5 or 6 other sports before college, but that weight, when that fell on my toe, I was physically slowed down. I was not able to go and exercise and do the things that I had valued so strongly and identified so strongly in my life at the time. It was so crazy because I realized how fake people actually can be. All the people that I would like be pouring into before I fractured my toe, they were like nowhere to be found. It was like a ghost town. They were not there for me in the way that I needed that. And that was the time where my faith in Christianity was at its peak because I was just reading the Bible and really on fire for Jesus at the time. That was that. But after that whole situation, like 2 years later, I was questioning the Christian doctrines and things like that because there were a lot of things that did not align, and there were a lot of contradictions that I started to notice reading the Old Testament again with new eyes. Then I identified with the Hebrew Israelite movement. It's a group of people which is now recognized as a cult in most people's eyes. So-called black people believe that they are the Hebrew Israelites from the Bible because, and it makes sense if you actually like put yourself in the shoes of like black suffering, but basically Deuteronomy 28 in the Bible verses 15 through 68 talk about how so-called black people would endure a lot of the curses on earth, like the father would leave the home, there would be sicknesses and diseases that they would get, and that they would be like exiled from their land and all this stuff. The crazy thing is that me being a Hebrew Israelite, I never thought once to go and like look at the origins of the Bible. What is the authorship of the Bible? What is the credibility of the Bible? The Bible, you know, is not really a history book And I tried to make it that, and a lot of people tried to make it that. But if you look at direct archaeological evidence, it's not there, you know? Years later, I was like, dang, when I search up the burial sites of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, like all these great forefathers, David, that came before Jesus, who was supposed to be connected to Jesus, right, bloodline wise, they're nowhere to be found at all. And then I was looking into Egyptology, and the Egyptians, ancient Kemet, they do not have any records of Bible characters being enslaved by them. That wasn't even the Egyptian way to do that. Of course they had like servants and people to help out in the palace and things like that, but they did not enslave any kind of people group named Hebrews or any people group that are named Israelites. So after that whole thing happened, I was like, yo, I'm gonna look more into the Bible, and the things that I found were just copies of other civilizations that came before it, and it's all in one book, so it's very convenient. And I think there's a lot of good things in the Bible, but it's not originally from the Bible, you feel me? That really was my spiritual awakening, and mushrooms play a big part in my spiritual awakening, with learning a lot about what I am as a soul and what this simulation is. And I'm gonna leave it at that. I feel very good. I feel very happy. Of course, everything's not perfect. I experience all the human emotions, but at this point, like, I just have such a deep appreciation for life. I always have, but it's without the fear of like going to hell or being damned or being cursed, and just all that negative energy, all the low frequencies and all that stuff. Like, I'm not dealing with that anymore, and so I think that's why I'm healing a lot from trauma. Whew, that was long. Wow. Okay, number 3, what is your favorite animal? I love the lion. Oh my gosh, if you can see that I designed that. I did not do it though. I love the bison and the buffalo. The bison and the buffalo/buffalo animal appeared to me at my, like, what shroom trip was that? I think it was 3 grams. And it just really spoke a lot to me. Like, that spirit animal, that totem, is a very motherly, compassionate, and protective spiritual animal that I know represents me. I love animals. The hawk, cats, the divine feline, all of them. Do you remember any of your past lives? To be honest, yes, but I did not know I even had past lives until I started doing mushrooms. Wow, I think it was on my 5 grams, my hero's dosey-do. On my 5 grams, I learned a lot about my past lives, and I really see that there was a pattern in the lives that I know. I know I've probably had more than 2 lives, but those are the ones that I saw. And basically, I was in a tribal kind of situation, and I was a woman both times that I saw. And, you know, people weren't really happy, like specifically the men weren't really happy with me, like, speaking my truth and just leading in certain spiritual ways, and I got in a lot of trouble for that. But long story short, I can definitely see how my past lives affect this life, and when it comes to, for me to speak my truth, sometimes I still kind of like experience past life trauma, and I'm working on it. That is that. Great question, by the way. Oh shoot, we are getting deep. Well, we've already been deep. Are you going to be taking the, where's my pen? Are you going to be taking the why or why not? Wonderful question. Before I say my personal thoughts, I want to remind you that these are my personal thoughts for my own body. And if you've already taken it, don't feel bad, don't feel guilty about it, okay? Like, that is your decision. You get to decide what you get to do with your body, and I get to decide what I get to do with my body. Please just, if you disagree, stick around, because that's how we evolve. When we hear something that does not align with our views, it challenges us to really think about the other possibilities in life. And to answer your question, absolutely not. I will not be getting that for many reasons. Everywhere you turn, like, there's some kind of pressure to get it. And that's why I believe like there's an evil undertone to it. Like there's a plan, in my opinion. It's really crazy how much the media, the news, and everywhere you look is literally begging for people to take this. And it's very, very strange. I've never, thanks Wind, I got some support. I have never, ever in my 24 and a half years on this planet, in this life, have seen a government so adamant about getting, especially black people and people of color, to take something that they deem will help and save the world. And by the way, they tried to use this whole thing of like, oh, well, a black woman made the technology of this one because this one is a different one than all the other ones that we've seen, right? Usually those have the actual illness, the actual dis-ease, the actual sickness within it, and they inject it in somebody's body so they can then build immunity to that dis-ease, right? But in the case of this one, this is AI. This is artificial intelligence, okay? And I don't think people really understand that this specific one is changing our genetics. Since when has the government ever cared about allowing people to actually live a fruitful life? And when things are genetically modified, like if you look at fruit, right? Fruit's chemistry, fruit's genetics have been altered because of man, because of man's science. And genetically modified fruits and vegetables or produce, they don't have seeds, right? They are infertile. They do not have seeds because their genetics are literally changed. So I am not surprised women specifically have become infertile. They've been having miscarriages and things like that because of it. Of course, they don't tell you this on the news. You have to literally talk to people. But I don't feel safe about it intuitively. I do not feel good about it at all, especially because I had a dream about it 2 months ago. Everybody's body is different, and I choose the natural healing route. I am so not surprised that the media does, like, especially when this whole pandemic first happened, no one wanted to go ahead and like have natural healers come on TV, or people who knew how to naturally boost the immune system, which is our natural defense to our body, people. We don't even trust in our natural defense. We don't trust in nature in America, right? Well, the white man's America, should I say. The pharmaceutical America. We don't trust in the healing that we have inside of us. So we get scared, because that's what they do. Fear lowers and weakens the immune system. And so when we are vibrating at that low frequency, people's immune system drops. And I know this for a fact because that happened to me. I had an autoimmune disease a few years ago because of fear. And it had nothing to do with what's going on now, but I definitely saw how much stress affects the body. And I just believe in healing naturally, whether that's meditation, breath work, herbs, affirmations, energy work. This is all real. I have books that I read that prove that people have been able to heal themselves from deadly diseases, and I don't think that this is any different. We just don't know about it, and your awareness is everything. If you are unaware of something and you don't believe that it exists, then it doesn't in your habitus, in your mental capacity. But once you believe that you can heal yourself, then it is possible and it can happen. That's why religions work, by the way. The power of belief. They work because people believe in them. Great question. If you're still with me, congrats. You have tolerance for people who speak things that you might not want to hear or things that are not entertaining. Are you into astrology? Yeah, astrology is dope. Astrology makes sense to me, especially because both the Old Testament and the New Testament were modeled after the stars. It's really an allegory, but I will not get into that right now. But I love astrology. It's very telling of how people are wired. It has helped me in my spiritual journey because I always wondered, like, why do I feel like this, or why do I do things like that or like that? And I think me knowing that I'm a Sagittarius explains a lot, you know. Ooh, next question actually connects to the one before. What are your signs? How has astrology and numerology helped you? Great question. My signs, ready? Sagittarius sun, Sagittarius moon, and Cancer rising. So it's really an interesting mix because with Sagittarians, you know, I'm very fiery, I'm very direct, I'm passionate, I am adventurous, deeply philosophical. But then I have the Cancer rising, which is I'm very sensitive. I have a very sensitive heart. I'm sure that y'all have already seen me cry like 3 times already on here. I don't mind because that's my life. That's who I am. And yeah, astrology, like I said, has helped me figure out more about myself and how things work. Numerology is so dope to me because like I'm studying numerology, right? And I can literally look at somebody's name, take the numerical value of it, and tell you what it means for like your destiny. By the way, if you want a numerology reading, let me know in the comments or email me and I got you. I'm offering those services publicly very soon. I guess this is public and I guess this soon is now. Question number 8. So, what do you think about the mental detriment that comes with traditional religion ideologies? Oh, shoot. I can speak from my personal experience. I know that when I was really questioning Christianity and how it has affected my upbringing and the way that I am now, there's a lot of fear. So I know for sure that the severe generalized anxiety disorder that I deal with today definitely points back to, you know, fear of hell and just really not being good enough. I feel like I wasn't really confident either or had like high self-esteem when I was in Christianity because in general people would always say like, oh, like good job for this Jubilee, or you're doing this or you're doing that, like that's so good. And I would never allow myself to receive that encouragement. I would just say nope, all glory to God or praise Jesus, and I never like actually absorbed even the good things that I was personally doing with my own effort, you know? I think it really did mess with my head. I'm still undoing a lot of different things. The shame and the guilt aspects of life, I still am undoing. Like when it comes for me to try to do something that I say that I want to do and I end up falling short with that, especially with like OCD, wanting to do things right all the time, obsessively. If I don't do something right or enough, that feeling of inadequacy from Christianity, I feel guilty about it and I feel ashamed about it. I've been learning to work with that and really heal from the strongholds that religion has had on my mind. So I feel like it affects a lot of people, especially when it comes to fear and mind control and doing what other men say because they have a status in the church. And people are really tricked, I believe, in giving their money and allegiance and time and energy to a system that was built to enslave specifically people of color. And I would argue that it has strongholds on all kind of people's minds. You know, it also divides people. I've seen it divide families because people don't agree with their doctrines. And it's 33,000 denominations in Christianity alone. And the last time I checked, that fact was actually in 2018, 2019, so you know that there's more. Number 9, what is your sexuality? I am straight. I love men. Well, one man, my boyfriend, Deontay. I love him. I'm straight. Did go through like a really short phase where I actually had a crush on Zendaya. Like just saying this right now where I am, I wouldn't feel like I could do something with the woman in that way. I'm not judging anybody, whatever they are. I personally just feel more comfortable with being intimate with people who have different bits and pieces. Lastly, what are your thoughts on transhumanism? Wow, so transhumanism, for those who don't know, is like a man-made scientific experiment on humanity where they are trying to close the gap between technology and humanity and making them one. I think it is a very twisted thing. The elites are running out of time because they realize that those mofos cannot live on Earth forever and do all the crazy hell that they do, but they want to live forever so they can keep their money and their status. Truth is, they can't last forever. They're trying to preserve the human life through the use of technology. It's very dangerous. I think that it's crazy, and I'm not for it. It's creepy AF, especially during quarantine and stuff. You saw a lot of things like went digital. That is not by accident. Every decade, there is a big world event that occurs, that is planned, that then creates a whole nother order or a whole nother agenda to then align the whole human population to what the elites want in order for them to control people easily. In 2001, in that whole decade of the new millennium, you see that a certain event happened, right? And then from there, we started to give up even more of our sovereignty in order to feel protected by the government. So we give up our privacy, we give up our sovereignty to feel just the feeling of protection. So now when you go to airports and things like that, there's so much surveillance and security and things like that. But before 2001, that didn't happen. And now people are so afraid to do a lot of things that we literally give up our power. We relent our sovereignty to an entity that says that they care about human life, but yet the track record says that they don't. I mean, look at what they're doing to the planet. Look what they're trying to do to the human race and divide it. All that to say is, I think this decade is moving more towards getting us integrated biologically with technology, because human beings can adapt so quickly to things. And by us being quarantined and only being on our tech devices, going to restaurants and, oh, we don't want to touch the menus, so here's a QR code, boom, a link opens up. They know where you eat, what you like to eat, and who you're with. And I think it's just kind of scary at how hard it is for us to not live without these things attached to us. And they are trying to incorporate that into our actual physical selves. Artificial intelligence that's happening even with changing our genetics through certain things. It's really scary the way that they track and listen. Can't even say certain words, even talking about the pandemic, because then they'll flag it. And it's just really stupid. I'm against it. I stand against it. I stand against transhumanism. And I believe that humans should be able to feel and breathe and interact and socialize with nature, with life, with other human beings. And that connection, that bond that we have as human beings is literally what keeps us alive. And if we don't have that, if you leave a newborn baby and you give it no human connection, no human attention after it is born, it will die. So really think about the way that even the pandemic has been transforming the way that we interact with other human beings. You feel me? They coined social distance for a reason when they meant physical distance. What does that say in our heads when we hear the word be socially distant, stay away from people? You start to literally socially distance yourself. You stop talking to the people that you care about, or it's all through technology. It's crazy. Wow, those are the 10 questions. Thank you so much for being here with me at this time. Thank you for listening to me. I really appreciate it. Because of my past lives, sometimes I get weird when I share my truth. And it takes a lot for me sometimes to do this, to really get there, because I know people just want to see me have fun and entertain and smile and laugh and all this stuff. But at the same time, I see what's going on. It's not cute, it's not pretty all the time, and I'm just being straight up and real with you, and I love you. Please, please, please comment below any thoughts that you have, anything that you want me to kind of expand and talk about more for a whole different episode. After question and answer session is over, I can then create content based on some of the things that are still kind of nagging at you. I'm here for you. I stand with you. I'm just pro-humanity and I love you. Subscribe to join the tribe if you haven't already. I appreciate you, and I'm sending you only good love, only good truth. And there is another bug right there. I must go now. Bye, Earthling.